here's the thing that I learned right towards the end of my college days and right after college was that words are powerful. Words that we say to ourselves or think really can affect us. Think about the words that we use in Hawaii, like, oh yeah, I live on a small island. I have a little town. We're kind of poor. Yeah, we don't know nothing, right? You start saying those negative words. It affects you. In fact, I just posted this on my Instagram this last week about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee says that don't say anything negative to yourself because your body doesn't know the difference when it absorbs those words. And I believe that, man. I learned that firsthand.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another podcast, Home Keys Hawaii. We're so glad that you're here with us once again. We have the great privilege of being with someone that I admire, I look up to, who's going to share a bunch of valuable knowledge with us. So before I get to that, like always, right, we're super grateful and appreciative of any time you spend with us. Make sure you subscribe, follow, share this information with those that you feel like will benefit from it most. And let's continue to spread some good word and keep our families and everybody here in Hawaii as much as we can. But now all that's done, I want to introduce the wonderful Alan Akina. If you don't know who this is, I don't know where you're at. Get out of that rock that you've been sleeping under. But this man really has a great story in terms of where he came from, his humble beginnings, where he is now. We're talking about a collegiate athlete, an author, right, of what's the name of your book again?
The Super Duper Simple Book on Money.
There you go. Super Duper Simple Book on Money.
Say that 5 times.
Yeah. Author as well as CEO, founder of 101 Financial, which is a great business that's helped thousands, probably even more than that, of families really reach financial stability, financial freedom, and helped a lot of people get to kind of reach their goals in terms of finances. So we're super grateful to have him and kind of appreciative of all the time you're spending with us. And actually, he's only here in Hawaii for a little time. I mean, your son is on the golf team.
Yeah.
In BYU.
Yeah, he's at BYU. So we're here for a golf tournament.
Nice. Are you a golfer?
No, I don't even own clubs.
Really?
Yeah, no golf in my life.
That's crazy.
Just my kids. Yeah.
Right, because you have your son that's playing BYU, and you have another one that plays golf, right?
Yeah. Then I have a kid that's a junior in high school. That's the number one recruit in the country right now.
No way.
So we actually leave here Thursday night to fly to Oklahoma. He's taking a visit to Oklahoma State, one of the historic golf programs in the country.
Okay.
So yeah, super excited to have him
Crazy.
take a visit.
So you don't take them on the course then, because they'll run you all over the place.
No, I don't say one word to them about it. I was like, I'll take him on the basketball court. I was like, let's go hoop, but nothing on the golf course.
Crazy. Okay, well, yeah, thank you again for spending time and squeezing us into your schedule. So I guess before we get into maybe some advice and some tips and tricks financially, just to paint the picture for anybody that doesn't know or hasn't read your books or read up about you, I would love for you to share a little bit about your upbringing, about your story of how you got from where you were to establishing a company, growing it to this and scaling it to where it is now, and really educating people in terms of finances. So
I appreciate that. First off, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
You're doing a fantastic job. I mean, on my way over here, I was just telling my wife, like, I just remember this kid in college, right? He was in college, and I knew he was going to be successful. I'm very proud of what you're doing in the business world, real estate. So keep it up. Very good job.
Thank you.
So just a little bit about me. I was born and raised on Oahu. Grew up between Wahiawa and the North Shore. Kind of moved around quite a bit. Come from a really good family. My family is awesome. I absolutely love my family. Our biggest struggle, just like everyone, we all have different struggles. Our struggle was that we were low income, and I was embarrassed with that. Early on in life, I was on free lunch, free breakfast at school, and back then. We had to stand in line for the token. We called her the token lady, and give us a token so we can eat. And then when you're in the line, everybody's watching you walk by, and those are all the poor kids. I had we had government cheese and food stamps, and we never owned a home. Right, that's why I really admire what you're doing here, helping local families getting homes, because we never had that. We moved around from house to house, lived with this family, and we moved here, and then sometimes we had to split up. My brother went here, I went there, because it was a struggle. And I think some of your viewers can relate to that struggle. It's tough out there, especially being in Hawaii. But what I did is I used that as motivation. I used that as fuel to my fire inside. Over all those years as a youngster, I built up this enormous desire to want to know how money worked. So after college, I put a lot of time and energy studying money. And it wasn't that I wanted to be a millionaire, like that super rich. I wanted to know how money worked. And I put the time, energy, and effort into studying it. And then I got to the point where I felt like I knew enough. So I started teaching people, small groups. And then I just felt this overwhelming desire to share this with more people. So at the time, my wife and I were living on North Shore. We were living at Turtle Bay. And we had just moved out of BYU Hawaii Married Housing. So TVA, a great TVA, right? For those of you that know TVA, you went there. So we lived in TVA, moved to Turtle Bay. We were renting. And we had saved up $20,000. And we used that to start my company, 101 Financial, which this month, November, makes 21 years.
That's crazy.
It's been 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been phenomenal. I didn't imagine it would be like this. I was so scared that we'd lose the 20 grand. Like, this is all we have. We had nothing else.
That's a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of money, but it wasn't, right? And so we put that all in, and we started 101 Financial. And then we just started helping people, just like you, one at a time. And then it started to grow. People liked what we were doing, and they started referring us. And then by our 7th year in business, we had made the Inc. 500 list. So for those of you that don't know what that is, Inc. magazine has a list of the top 500 fastest growing companies in the country. And we were, at the time, the second company from the islands, from Hawaii, to ever make that list. Wow. So myself, a couple of other executives from Hawaii, we flew up there and up to DC, had a big event. It was phenomenal. That was the first time that I really pulled my head out of the trenches. So we were working so hard, helping, just grinding away, to realize, wow, we've actually built something really cool, and we've helped out thousands of people, and we're starting to get recognized. And then after that, what happened was KHON2 came calling. So I had gone in to do a New Year's series. So this is like a November time frame. Like, hey, in January, we want to do this New Year's resolution, like financial literacy type of thing. So I was going to do like 4 shows for them. Yeah. And those 4 shows turned into 10, and the 10 shows turned into once a week. The once a week turned into twice a week for 10 years. Wow. It was great. Absolutely loved my time at KHON. And then after that, turned into a best-selling book. Company continued to grow, and today we serve people in almost every state. Wow. Yeah, we serve people in almost every state, which is close to 70,000 families now, and counting every single day. We work with big companies and small companies. Our largest company we just signed on about a year ago, Halliburton, one of the biggest oil and gas companies. They're a Fortune 500 company. We signed a 5-year financial education program with them, and we got a bunch of others that we deal with. So it's to think about. I mean, this is so crazy because this is our 21st month. I mean, today's November 1st, right? Yeah. To look back now, being in Hawaii, I still own that place. So we were renting that condo. Okay. I asked our landlord if we could buy it from him 3 different times, and guess what happened on the 3rd time? He said yes. Yeah. He said yes. So you keep asking, right? You never know. If you're renting now and you want to buy the house, keep asking. You never know what your landlord is going to say. And he said, sure, he did it. And we've owned it for 20 years now. Nice. And so it's been great. And my wife and I are staying there this weekend. So all these memories are coming back. It's full circle. Everything's coming back. Full circle to see where it's come from and how scared we were about life, about raising kids, about finances. It is very nerve-wracking, but for those of you that are just kind of starting in that life area, embrace it, because that's what makes life exciting. Yeah. If you knew it was around the corner, then you probably wouldn't treat life the way that it should be, right? Sure. Looking forward to things, and unexpected things pop up, and making those adjustments. That's what life is about. That's awesome. And to think, right, that this business, 21 years, started with
you just with this desire and this hunger to learn about money. And I think about it all the time, and I've shared this multiple times on my social media. I think anything you do, right, in terms of owning a home or getting yourself financially set, isn't just for you, but more importantly, it's for your kids. Like growing up, I really admire my mother's always been a hustler. She's always had like 2 or 3 jobs selling different things, and we've always had a home that we've owned. And so growing up and coming to the point where I was thinking about starting a family, like that was never a question for me of like, am I going to rent or own? It's just because my family kind of laid that plan for me in terms of this is what it is. This is what you should do. And I've seen my mom and my dad grow from our small house in Waipahu to something bigger, renovating to now their dream home that they live in. And so we're starting on that path doing the same thing. But for you, right, you said that growing up, you didn't necessarily have that framework around you. And that instilled a desire. Now, when you said you were learning and studying, what were you doing in terms of, like, what were you learning? What were you looking up? I'm guessing not at school. So.
No, not at school. So
Yeah.
I was, I mean, you and I, we both went to BYU Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
So we're seasiders. And
There you go. Yep.
I was a biology major. Yeah,
Crazy.
I was a biology pre-professional major at BYU Hawaii.
What were you thinking about? What was that?
So,
the end goal
so
for
here
that?
was my thought. When I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
But there was 2 things that came into my mind. Number 1 was like, I wanted to get into a profession that would help people. And number 2, I wanted to get into a profession that could provide a good living for my family. Those were the only 2 things that came to mind. So as I started going through the opportunities at school, I thought about, hey, you know what? Maybe being a physical therapist, because I was a basketball player, right? So physical therapy was good. Or when I was on a mission, I had all these headaches. I didn't know what was going on. And somebody said, you should try a chiropractor. I'd never been to a chiropractor. So my mission, I went to a chiropractor, got adjusted, and my headaches went. I was like, wow, this
Crazy.
is amazing.
Wow.
So then my other thought was going into chiropractic. And so that was the trail that I was on, was the biology pre-professional. And then I got into business my senior year in college, and that changed it, and that opened up. I'm like, wow, I like this stuff. Like I want to read books on finance, on business, and things of that sort. I did not want to read my biology or chemistry books, but I wanted to just devour all the information I could when it comes to business and finance. So that's where I learned. I sort of created my own MBA.
Okay.
In a few different ways. Number 1, through books. I would read as many books as I possibly could. Number 2 was through events. I would attend different events that people were putting on as speakers. I'd listen to them and then number 3, I'd interview successful individuals and ask them what they did and try to learn from them. And so with those 3 things, I sort of created my own MBA, because back then, I mean, this is over 20 years ago that I was in college. There wasn't the internet.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one of the other things too, back then, you don't remember this, but they would have all these commercials for like financial services company. And instead of going to www. Whatever the company, it would say, hey, order our free brochure. So you young guys that are watching this, you don't know what a brochure. What is a brochure? You get something in the mail? What is mail, right? So I would order all these things. I'd call the 800 number. I'd say, I'd like to get a free brochure. So every day I'd have different companies sending me stuff, and I would just devour every bit of information in those packets. And so I was hungry. I was learning it. I had my own thoughts, and I started teaching people. As I started teaching people, I started to learn more. And I started to gain more confidence in myself and the things that we're teaching. And I didn't know at the time that it was such a huge need. I just knew it was a need for me. My family and I needed financial education, and I figured there was a few others that were like us that needed the same thing. And lo and behold, it's like 95% of the country needs financial education.
100%. Yeah. Which is so crazy. So how do you get from the shift from, okay, like I need to learn this, other family needs to learn this too, like I can actually make a business out of this. I can charge and kind of scale and provide for my family that way. When did that happen? How did that happen? Yeah,
it took a little bit of time, because number 1, you got to, at least for me, you have to overcome your own self-doubts.
Sure, 100%.
Like for me, I didn't believe it. Like I wasn't a college graduate. I dropped out of college as well at that time. Yeah,
Your senior year.
Out my senior year. After I was done playing basketball, I dropped out.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I didn't have a degree. I didn't come from money. And you just I mean, I don't know if you guys that are watching, you just think about all the negative things in your life, and when you look in the mirror, you see yourself.
Yeah.
You don't see your future self.
Sure.
And so I had to overcome myself, which was the biggest thing. Once I did, then that's when the floodgates opened and the creative juices came out of me. I worked harder. I became more confident, and that's when our company was like this, and it went boom, and we hit Inc. 500 in that 7-year period because of me trying to overcome my self-doubt.
Sure. Which I think there's a great lesson in there, right? I think it happens with a lot of local families, a lot of locals. I think there's this doubt in terms of us being able to overcome our environment, right? Like things in Hawaii is expensive. We know that it's what, one or two most expensive places to live in Hawaii. Yeah. The economy's not the strongest. There's not a whole lot of job opportunities. And so I think people see all of that, and not everyone, but I think there's a tendency to think, I can't do it. Like, let me just survive, live status quo. But I think there's a lot from what you said in terms of not having the framework around you, not having the degree, not having the experience, but still understanding that you could make a difference and get out of there and do something impactful.
Yeah, because when you live in the hood,
yeah,
right? I grew up in TVA. And I went back to live in TVA. So I was in TVA when I was a kid. When my parents were in school.
It's not the hood.
It's not the hood, but back then it was the hood. It was the hood.
It's nice now.
It's nice, yeah. Back then there was like families, big families, and so all my TVA boys, if you're watching this, you guys know what I'm doing. But we also lived in this apartment building, like a government subsidized apartment building, right next to the police station in Waihiwa. So if you live next to a police station, you're in the hood, right, for the most part. So those are that surrounding can get to you, right? And here's the thing that I learned right towards the end of my college days and right after college was that words are powerful. Words are powerful. So words that we say to ourselves or think really can affect us. And you think about the words that we use in Hawaii, like, oh yeah, I live on a small island. I have a little town. We're kind of poor. Yeah, we don't know nothing, right? You start saying those negative words. It affects you. In fact, I just posted this on my Instagram this last week about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee says that don't say anything negative to yourself because your body doesn't know the difference when it absorbs those words. Yeah. And I believe that, man. I learned that firsthand. That words are powerful. Good stuff, man. That's so good. Yeah. So, okay, now let's talk a little bit more about money and finances and stuff now. Interesting. I was talking to my financial advisor, Aaron Domingo. Shout out. We got to get you on here. But he mentioned, or he shared a story with me, an experience he had recently. I thought was really interesting. So he went to his kids' elementary school. I think it was career day or something. So he went over there to talk about what he does. And he kind of asked a question and surveyed the students. And he asked them, I don't know exactly what it was, but he kind of, in a sense, asked them, what is their relationship or what is their initial opinion of money? And already at a young age, after asking all the kids, he noticed that people were either afraid of it or had negative feelings of what money was. And he thought that was very interesting that already at that age they're thinking like that. So I guess my question to you is that something that you see, that the everyday person has that kind of relationship with money? And additionally, what can we do to overcome that? Yeah, great question. I've spoken all over the country, just about every major city. I've spoken to tens of thousands of people on the topic of money. And I'll tell you, that's a major roadblock to people's financial success is the relationship with money. And I'll go back to myself again. I felt guilty, literally felt guilty when I was achieving financial success.
Interesting. Why'd you feel guilty?
Because my parents never had money. My parents owned a home once. This was after I was in high school, when I was in college. They had bought a house, but was only able to keep it for a year. Then it got taken back. And so when I got my first house, I was excited, but I felt guilty like my parents don't own a house. And then as I started to gain more success, make more money and be able to do things like buy, like this is a crazy thing, like buy a full family size bag of blue Doritos. The big one, the Cool Ranch, the big bag. Yeah. Never was able to buy that for just myself. I felt bad. Like that was something we would share. You got to share that with your family. Just those little things. It was crazy how I felt guilty, right?
Yeah.
And then I bought my next house and the next house, and I was finally able to overcome that over some time, but it took me working on that. Like that's something you got to work on every single day as yourself, right? Mentally work on your own mind and your own beliefs that, you know what, it's okay. It's okay for you to be financially successful, because if you are already a good person, having more money or more financial success will help you to do even more good things.
Yeah.
It's not going to change who you are. It's not going to, if you make more money, you're just going to automatically be a better person. No, if you're not a good person, you have money, you're probably not going to be a good person with money. But if you're a great person with good intentions that starts to make more money and have financial success, I believe you're going to give back. You're going to give back in the form of support and other things that you can do to help others around you, because that's who you are. And that's what I live by now. And that's how I overcome the guilt.
So how do you overcome that? Like what do you have to do to get a better relationship with money and not be necessarily afraid of it or guilty of it as well?
Yeah, I dedicate a lot of time and energy to help other people to achieve that same thing through being an example, and then through the teachings and things that I provide for people. Is the businesses that I start are really designed to help people. And the more people you can add value to, the more success will come your way. And it's really about putting other people first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now let's talk about the education and helping other people. Hawaii's no joke. We know it, right? I mean,
It's
tough.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, but it's tough. It's tough. It's like our women, beautiful but tough.
Yes, absolutely.
But how if you were going to give any simple advice or just start a conversation with anybody saying, hey, I want to live here in Hawaii, I want to not just survive but thrive and make it financially, where would you start? How do we start that journey?
Yeah, number one, when I communicate with people about money and finances, I like to start with their mindset.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of your goals? What do you want to achieve? And do you really believe you can do that? Right. Yeah. And if you just have a small belief, just a little bit of confidence, that can grow. Yeah. I know it can. So you just have to have a little bit. If you don't believe at all, you have that fixed mindset, you're probably not going to get anywhere. But if you have just a little bit of that growth mindset, I'm sure you talk about that, then you can grow. And then I go into, okay, here's the mechanics. First thing you need to know is your numbers.
100%.
Your key numbers. And so I like to talk about your cash flow numbers, meaning you're going to take your income, so your total monthly income. Then you're going to take your total living expenses and then your total monthly debt payments. So if you have a credit card payment, a car payment, and a mortgage, you would add that up. Then you'd add up all of your monthly expenses and write down everything that you spend money on. Then you can add those two things together, expenses and the monthly debt payment, and subtract that from your total income. This will be your cash flow, and on a monthly basis. And my question is, where are we starting? If I'm starting with you today, where are you starting? You're going to fall into three categories. Are you going to be, number one, are you positive cash flow? So you're making more than you're spending, and that's a good thing. Number two, are you breaking even? Or number three, are you negative cash flow? Are you spending more than you're making? We need to know where that starting line is. Once we have that starting line, then that could get you to your finish line, the goal that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But if we have that goal and we don't know the starting line, it'll be very difficult to get there. Or we have the starting line and we don't know the goal, it'll be very difficult to get to somewhere you don't know where you want to go.
Which is crazy. I talk to people all the time about it, right? Like when I share posts about interest rates, about homes and highlighting homes, and I talk to them about the purchase price, and everyone's like, not everyone, but some people are like, oh, I can't afford that, that's so crazy. In my mind, like, sure, you might not be able to, but do you really know if you do or not? Like, do you know what your comfortable monthly payment is you can afford? Do you know if you can even be approved for that? And if you haven't even had that conversation, why are you even putting that belief in your mind that you cannot do what I'm putting out there? Like, it's... And
that goes to the two things I just spoke about. Number one, mindset,
100%,
right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, I cannot.
Yeah.
For the first time, like, here's the house. Oh, I cannot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you shoot it down before you even looked at it.
Exactly.
Right? And the second thing is, we don't know our cash flow. What's the numbers? What's our monthly number? If we don't know those two things, it will be hard. But it doesn't take a lot of effort to find that number out. It takes a little bit of discipline and a couple hours.
So let me add, because I've been like this too before, but I was always afraid of looking at my numbers, to be honest, right? Like I remember when I was right out of college, credit cards or whatever I had, I was just spending. And literally sometimes I would go into the store hoping that my thing wouldn't decline, because I had no idea how much money was in there. I didn't know how much money was coming in and out. Where does that fear come from, or what is that? I don't know.
That fear is human nature. In fact, I just posted something on Instagram this morning. Late last night in Kahuku at my house, I filmed a minute and a half video, and I got my son's dive gear out. So his spear, his underwater light.
Yep.
And because I was talking about night diving to some of my son's golf teammates. Like, you ever went diving at night? Yeah, that'd be so scary. And I said, you know what? It is. At first, it's really scary. Why? Because it's dark. And you can't see anything around you, so your mind starts to think about all of these things that's scary. Like the fear sinks in, because like, is there a shark? Is there something else that's going to bite me that I don't know? Am I going to run into the reef? Right?
Yep.
You just, all these things are in your head because it's dark. Mm-hmm. The only thing you can see when you're night diving, for those of you that are fishermen, you can only see what? Where your light is shining. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing you can see. And if you just focus on that, you will block out all of the other negative things that are coming, all the dark things that are coming to your mind. So in your financial life, if you just focus in on what's in front of you, let's just focus in on what's here today. Yeah. Whatever is out there is out there. We can't control that, but we can control our numbers. And if you just say, okay, what do I spend money on? Make a short list.
Yeah.
What are my monthly debt payments like? And how much do I really bring in? Yes, that's scary, but it's not hard. Anybody can do that in an hour with a piece of paper and a pencil.
And really now, because everything's digital, right? All you need to do is look up your statements online. And
absolutely.
Back in the day, I'm sure it was really hard because you had to
you got to call the bank and get your get your numbers, but you can look everything up. You don't even need a piece of paper. Get your phone out and 100%. Put it in your notes.
Yeah.
And just start writing those down. And then whatever the number is what it is. That's where we're starting. If you're negative cash flow, we're going to face that.
Yeah.
If you're breaking even, we're going to face that. If you're positive, we're going to face that. We're going to take the next step after that, right? So if you're negative, the first goal is, okay, let's look at why we're negative. Let's look at the last 2-3 months of why are we going over our income. Then our next goal is to break even.
Yep.
Okay, now we're breaking even. All right. Next goal is, let's get positive. Let's get to positive 100 a month, and then 200. It's just baby steps. It's just little things, because I promise you, once you get going financially, you'll get confident. Yeah. Just like in anything.
Yeah.
Just like working out, learning a new subject, just like going on a date with the girl. Like you learn, and then you get more comfortable. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And just going back, just to kind of bookend this, but like you said, it all starts with a mindset, right? You got to believe, you got to understand that what is out there is achievable and you can do it. Like going back to homes, if you don't think you can own a home in Hawaii, you're probably not going to own a home in Hawaii. Let's go back to that. If you believe it, even if your numbers don't make sense now, but if you have that belief, if you think that you can do it, guess what? When every opportunity comes up, like watching this podcast or learning about your finances, when those things come up, then you're gonna be able to absorb that education, absorb that knowledge, and apply it to your life. And then eventually down the road, even though it's not now, maybe a year, 2-3 years from now, you'll set yourself up to eventually get to a place where you can. So mindset is huge.
Yeah, you got to believe. Yeah. If you don't believe, then nothing's going to happen. Yeah. You got to believe first. And like I said, it starts small, right? Yeah. Like faith could be as small as a what?
A seed.
Mustard seed, yeah. Right? Yeah. Mustard seed, and it can grow.
Amen.
Your confidence in your financial life can be very small, and that could be because of damage that you had throughout your life. We all have damage somehow, somewhere. We're all damaged, but we're still good. We're still good people. We still have the ability to grow and take that. If your confidence in your financial life is as small as a mustard seed, take that and grow it. Yeah. Get a little bit bigger, and it'll continue to grow, and you'll start to see things happen. But you got to start somewhere. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. I kind of wanted to shift now, and we talked about this in preparation, right? All of my guests so far have been strong advocates for being in Hawaii, staying in Hawaii, keeping your family here, keeping Hawaii local.
interesting, if you don't know, Alan Akina now resides in Utah for 7 years now, he said. Yeah, he's been there and he's been thriving. So interesting. I kind of want to bring that up. I mean, it's not counterproductive, but I would love to hear your perspective of now being off island, not having your kids being raised here right now. What are your perspectives on things, pros and cons of being up there in comparison to here? I would love to hear kind of what that sounds like.
Yeah, I think it's a good perspective,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge advocate of that. I didn't want to move either. I wanted to be here, and first off, there's no other better place than Hawaii. This is the absolute best place, and has so many good things to offer. For us, when it came to making that decision to move, there was two things that really drove us. Number one was our kids, giving them some opportunities. We have 7 kids now, and we knew they were quite ambitious, so we wanted to give them some opportunities. And number two was that my company was growing. It was growing all over the country, and so making the trips back and forth to the mainland got really hard on me and my body, and the opportunities that were there to open up new cities became apparent that we should probably do something. So we still kept our houses here. We come back. I'm here every other month. So I still have my house. I'm there. My family comes back for the entire summer. We absolutely miss it. But in regards to those two things, number one, business. When we moved our operations to the mainland, it started to grow, and it grew to all these other cities, and other opportunities came about for our kids. Now, our kids, this was something near and dear to our heart. Our kids were exposed to new opportunities as well. So, for example, we moved to Utah when my oldest son was a senior. Left Kahuku, and we were going to go there for 6 months to try it out. After the 6 months, he played basketball. It was great, golf and everything. We're like, okay, let's move back. And he didn't want to move back. I said, well, what about graduating from Kahuku? It was like, Dad, I just think I should stay here. And so for him, what happened was he was a basketball player and then played golf just a little bit. While up there, he got recruited by BYU to play golf. Yeah, so he had 4 coming into that summer. Yeah. Before we even moved to Utah, he had 4 offers for basketball, college basketball. But then BYU golf came in, and he's like, "Wow, this is we didn't expect that. We had no clue." So ended up going to BYU golf, and we're very proud of how it's all worked out for him. Our second oldest son was a sophomore. We moved there, and he's a basketball player, and he continued to grow and get better. And he's now at New York University playing basketball. Yeah. And he's in the Stern School of Business, one of the top business schools in the country. He lives on Wall Street. He's majoring in finance. I mean, he's he's in the capital of finance. Our oldest son is at the Marriott School of Business at BYU.
Great school too. Great school, program.
Great school. And then our daughter, I think she was in the 7th or 8th grade when she moved there, our third oldest. Today is at Harvard. She's a junior at Harvard. Played rugby there for a couple years, did well, and she's just absolutely thriving there. And there were some opportunities that opened up for her to do that. And then our 4th oldest now is the #1 golf recruit in the country. Crazy. When we were just at Alabama a week and a half ago, University of North Carolina, Arizona State, BYU, University of Florida. I mean, he can go to any college he wants. And I just think there were some doors that opened up for them that gave them those opportunities, and we're very, very thankful, very humbled and blessed that our kids are able to do those things. So a little scary to move, but gosh, it was awesome. Sure. Yeah. But the Hawaii roots pays off dividends. To have those roots, the culture, the beliefs, the way that we treat people. Living in our daughter's in Cambridge. It's just kids from all over the world at Harvard. Our son's in New York City. I mean, gosh, that's a melting pot, right? Doggy dog. Yeah. You got to be tough, right? Coming from Koku, it was tough, right? You got to be smart, and you got to keep your head on a swivel. There's so much going on. So I just think they have that culture that they're very grounded and very, very blessed. Congratulations on all your success and success of your kids. That's amazing. It's quite amazing. They have a very good mother. That's the key. You want your kids to be successful. You have a good wife. You treat your wife well. Your kids will thrive.
There you go. We should just end it right there. That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's a perfect button everything up. No, thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate your time. I think you shared some very, very valuable, knowledgeable things that we can definitely take away. Before we end, is there anything else you want to share? Anything else comes to mind?
I think whatever you do, right? Whatever you do, continue to learn and just be the best at what you do, right? You're working your way to be the best at what you do in this field. Keep doing it. Keep grinding, because you never know what'll happen, right? And so, give a quick story. Last year, actually, when the pandemic happened, right? When the pandemic hit, I wasn't traveling as much as I did.
Okay.
I used to travel all the time, every week. Pandemic hit, I was grounded, and I was helping people and coaching them financially. But my kids were off to school playing different sports, so I was watching two things. Like, number one, how do I get them their own card so they can start building credit, so they don't have to use my card, right? I want them to have their own card. Let them build their own credit. And then number two, like, I was watching their schools, like they were giving them cash for their per diem, right? When they go on the road, they go play a basketball game, golf somewhere. Here's $50 for food for the week. And so I took my experience with financial education and banking, and we actually launched an all digital bank last year in 2022.
Okay.
I launched a new company called Team Up. It's associated with One-on-One Financial. It's my 21 years of being in financial education. And what we did is we looked at this amazing opportunity where the crossroads are happening, where you take financial education, right? That's growing. You take fintech or financial technology that is a new explosive industry, especially when the pandemic hit. Open banking, financial technology started to explode. I put a lot of time into working on financial technology. So those two things were intersecting, along with the same time AI, artificial intelligence. And lastly, we topped that off with college sports. And so we built a new company called Team Up that merges all those opportunities together at one. And we just launched this year our first two digital banking products. So we launched an all digital bank account, like a checking account with no checks.
Okay.
FDIC insured, $250,000 that kids can use. And then we built something that I've always wanted to have, and I have it in my pocket, but we built a credit builder card. So we built a credit builder card that's very unique. And so our first customer was BYU. So we built a credit card for BYU athletes and college athletes. So the thing that's unique about this card is that, number one, it won't let our kids go into debt. Okay. Number two, it charges zero interest. And number three, we can approve them for the card without doing a credit check.
Oh, wow.
So we removed all the three major obstacles that I was looking to solve for my kids. Like, how do I get them a card? How do I get them to build credit and not go into debt or pay a ton of interest? Those are things that we didn't believe in at One-on-One. And we couldn't find it, so we built it.
That's crazy. You just started that.
We just started this. Wow. So we just launched this with BYU. We got probably another 10, 12 other universities that we're meeting with, a couple professional basketball teams. And it's been, it's starting to take traction. And then now we have companies that are coming to us. I got real estate mortgage companies that want to use this for their clients. Yeah. To help, for those that don't qualify for a mortgage. Like, they're either not going to qualify because of cash flow and credit issues, or a combination of both. Well, yeah. So how do you help that client instead of just put him in the on the dead list and send him one email a month?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's give them a chance to build credit, not go into debt, and then keep your brand on that card, keep top of mind. So that's that's what we've been working on recently, and I think the future's bright.
Exciting. Team Up.
It's called Team Up.
Team Up. Be on the lookout for Team Up.
It's coming.
It's coming. So at the end of this, guys, I mean, right? If there's a problem that you have, something that you want to solve, dive in, study as much as you can, continue to learn, and figure out a solution, right? We're talking about a CEO, founder of a super successful company, 20 years in, thinking, let me start something else. Yeah. Never be satisfied. Continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to open up new doors.
Yeah, just solving problems, right?
Yeah.
So I honestly, guys, I'm just solving my own problems. 101, 21 years ago, I was solving my own problems. Now I'm trying to solve my credit problems for my kids, right? I try to figure out this for athletes, and it just so happened to be great business opportunity at the same time. And I'm passionate about it.
Every business, right? That's essentially what it is, right? There's a problem that needs to be solved. Someone came up with a new solution. And is passionate about
Find
it.
a need, fill a need, right?
Exactly.
Robots. I don't know if you probably watched that when you were a kid. That I think it's a Disney movie called Robots.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're like find a need, fill a need. It's exactly
there. It is
as simple as that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you again. Appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a little bit about yourself, what you need to do, and potentially what you can achieve if you put your mind to it. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to myself. I'm going to tag Alan Akina in all these videos as well. Reach out to him. Him and his team will definitely help you out, or whatever financial goals you have, and set you up for success. Like always, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we'll see you next time on the Home Keys Away podcast. Mahalo.
Aloha.